Hello, hello. I am Michael. I'm joined by Dave. We are Pump the Brakes.
Back to break pumping. I think we agreed, given the holiday situation and the stakes or lack thereof in the Jets and Dolphins game, it didn't make sense to do a full episode last week.
I
Not
mean, the
enough to take
Dolphins took a
away.
day off as well, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the core of this episode is going to be a preview of the first playoff matchup in what, 4+ years in New England. The last being the trip to Buffalo, Mac Jones and Bill Belichick.
We even count
So
that.
but we don't want to. First home game since 2019 season.
I
So
mean, what a day.
yeah,
What a
I
day to be alive. What a day to be a Pats fan. After 2 years of wandering the wilderness, hopeless.
I think it makes sense just to like briefly wrap up the Jets and the Dolphins game, some key
Yeah, let's
points.
do that.
I mean, the Jets and the Dolphins, for that matter, take it for what it's worth against the quality of opponent. Not a ton, but I mean, the thing that stood out in the Jets game, Drake Maye in 2.5 quarters had the most efficient game in the history of the NFL, I guess. The only quarterback to ever throw for 250 plus yards, 5 touchdowns, and 90% completion percentage. It's a defense that started 6 or 7 practice squad caliber players, but at the end of the day, it's an NFL game that counts, and he delivered. So I did think there were a few issues with like the left side of the offensive line. You still had Vidarian Lowe and Ben Brown in there. Vidarian Lowe did what he had to do. He survived that spell without Will Campbell. It wasn't a disaster for you, but it did start to ffeel like, all right, it's time to get Will Campbell back. So it was good to get him back for that Dolphins
Will
game.
come back soon, Campbell.
Yeah, yeah. Barmore, I just wasn't impressed with. He was the player that stood out to me negatively in the Jets game. Without Milton Williams, he's getting double teamed out of the pass rush. He's not the best run player. Armand Membu has gotten the better of him, I think, in both matchups and got under his skin in this game.
Great. That's what you want
Yeah.
from your one of your higher paid defensive players.
Yeah, in what was a tough week generally for him, all things considered. Yeah. I mean, the Dolphins game, outside of the 8 minutes sort of in the second quarter where, per usual, you just couldn't stop them for a little bit, which is a red flag, as we know with this defense.
Scary.
Yeah, I mean, for a minute there, it was like, is this going to be like a real game here against a bad Miami team? It wouldn't have been a good sign going into the playoffs. And they got it together there in the second half, and it really was,
They
in
did.
my opinion, more of a blip than it was any real sort of story of the game. But it existed,
Yeah.
and it's worth bringing up, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
listen, in the end, they only allowed 10 points, right? Like, and put up 42? Or was that the
Sounds right.
Jets?
I
Yeah,
don't honestly,
whatever.
38,
A
I think.
couple of blowouts, yeah.
Yeah. The run game was really good in that Dolphins game. I thought the run blocking, the second level blocking was good. The emergence of Ramondre Stevenson as sort of a dual threat running back and reemergence of him as a trusted running threat is huge. Hopefully, it's not the byproduct of the quality of team you've played in the last month and it's something that transfers. I tend to think it'll transfer, but I might be more hopeful than anything else on that front. Having Milton Williams is nice. I think it's pretty obvious the difference he makes on that defensive line with just how
Huge,
loosened up
huge
everybody
difference.
is. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you could even see it with like a guy like Barmore, and that's, to me, that's been the difficulty of Barmore's season. Is quite obviously the design is to pair these two guys together because they create rush opportunities for one another. And Williams is a higher caliber, I think, interior pass rusher. And so without him, there's more that falls on Barmore's shoulders. And they also like to, I've seen they like to play Barmore on the edge when Milton Williams is healthy as well. So it's more flexibility there. So happy
Makes
to have
sense.
him back as well.
Huge get back for the team. Campbell was back. Will Campbell
Campbell
was
was back.
back, played
Yep.
well.
Yeah, he was solid in his return. Good to have him back. I mean, all things considered, I think when you take a look at they're tying up loose ends with the division there with the Jets, the quality of these two opponents, and the fact that you're really just trying to get right and get healthy at the right time. Two games that couldn't have gone any better, all things considered.
Okay, there we go. That's what you want. Where's the brake pumping, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, the brake pumping it's not worth much other than
Right, it's the
the
Dolphins
W
and
in
the
the win
Jets.
column, and you weren't worse off for it at the end of the 2 weeks. That's the brake pump is like
Yeah, like we got our guys
value.
back. Good things happened, right? Like we didn't lose anyone. We didn't. I was so worried about an injury, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't recorded since Mac Hollins went on the IR. I think we can touch on that as an injury.
Yeah,
It's a tough
it's a
one.
feels like a big loss, right? Like he's been a reliable guy. He's played a specific role that's now being who's filling his kind of like wide was he a wide receiver? That was
Well, so I think, to me, it's a tough loss. It's not a back-breaking loss, but it's a tough loss to your point because he offers a particular skill set that I don't think is replicated by any one player on your roster. And that's sort of this ability to play both on the outside and on the inside, and more specifically, his ability to block in the run game as a bigger bodied receiver. And so there's an open question. How are they going to sort of piece together that role? My first thought was maybe we get more Austin Hooper. We did see a little bit of him against Miami, just as a bigger body guy that can play in the middle of the field at tight end. Afton Chisholm has gotten some
Right.
run.
But this has been, I think this is a credit to McDaniels where like this is, when you have a good OC, losing one guy isn't going to kill you.
Agreed. I mean, there as far as offensive coordinators go, I don't think there's a better sort of counterpuncher or someone who, with time to draw up an alternative, whether it's in various ways and schematically, whether it's personnel groupings, things like that, alignments. McDaniels is the guy, and so
Yeah.
I trust that he's going to be able to find ways to make up for that. This isn't losing Stephon Diggs, so it's not, like I said, it's not a backbreaker, but it just stretches your resources more thin.
Future OC right here.
Somewhere else, yeah.
Somewhere else. But yeah, okay, that am I crazy or is that enough about the fucking Jets and Dolphins? That's not what people are here to listen to.
Yeah,
Talk
let's
about
talk
the
about this
goddamn
Chargers team.
San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, San Diego Superchargers. I mean, last we spoke, you asked me who the team I wanted to play most was this postseason in the first round, and I said the Chargers. And I don't say that because I think it's an easy matchup. This is a good Chargers team, and I mean that. It's going to be a difficult task, but I do think it's the best possible matchup of the teams you could have played in the first round for the Patriots. And I think it makes sense to try to imagine what is the universe where the Chargers win this game? What does it look like? Is there an analog to a game we've seen with this Patriots group that to me stands out as something that we could see similarly and result in them losing this playoff game? I think it's the Baltimore game without the comeback, obviously. It's going to have to look something like that for you to lose to this Chargers team. And what that looked like was, they run the ball effectively,
They
control the
do.
clock, trying not to play from behind too much, and creating enough confusion in passing lanes that they might get a turnover or two out of your offense. That's what happened with Baltimore. And I think that's the path to victory for the Chargers if they're going to pull this one off.
Yeah. I would almost liken it more to the early season Steelers game,
Hmm.
where I think it's going to take 3 turnovers for the Patriots to lose this game. And similarly to the Steelers, I am more afraid of their defense than I am of their offense.
I completely agree with you. I am more afraid of their defense than their offense. I guess it makes sense to talk about the defensive approach to their offense first, because while I fear their defense more, I do think the key to this game for the Patriots is stopping their run. And listen, the Patriots have not been a good run defense in about 9 weeks. You have gotten Milton Williams back. You are probably, hopefully, going to get Bob Spillane back. Those things help. But this Chargers team wants to run the ball by design. This is sort of their identity. They want to control the clock. They're second in the league in time of possession. They do not want to get in a track meet with you where they're going blow for blow, score for score. Frankly, I would say no team in the playoffs wants to get in a track meet with this Patriots offense and have to score with them. And so their goal is going to be to control time of possession, I think, and stay on schedule in the run. And if you can disrupt that, you have a really good chance. And the Achilles heel of this Chargers team is their offensive line. So it's entirely possible. They've lost, as you know, they've lost Joe Alt, they lost Rashawn Slater, 2 Pro Bowl tackles. Their guards
They're
are
on like
healthy.
their 6th and 7th string guys at this point.
Yeah, they don't even have their first set of backups. And they had their starting guards, but their guards have been atrocious. Mekhi Becton, who came over from Philadelphia, has been a disaster for them. They have the 6th highest stuff run rate in the league. So I think when you combine the guys you're getting back with the idea that this is an offensive line you can take advantage of in the run game, there is a really good chance of you bottling up the run. And to me, that's where you really sort of can start to play on your terms. Because if you make this Chargers team one-dimensional, I think they're in real trouble. When Herbert has to press and put the team on his back, he's prone to make mistakes. His last playoff game, he threw 4 interceptions.
I mean, let me build off of that, right? Like I think this is we often talk about like strength on strength matchups, right? Like the Chargers have a great secondary, we have a great passing offense. I want to talk about a weakness on weakness matchup that I think is going to decide this game, which is the Chargers offensive line and our dog shit front four. Like having Milton Williams back, huge, but like we have not we have not been a good pass rushing team this season. I don't know where we rank, but it's
Yeah.
low. We rank low.
I like this as a bounce back spot for the Patriots defensive front. First of all, it's going to have to be if you're going to win the game. One. Number two is I think there's a legitimate chance of it because, we talked about the stuff run rate. Like they're not very good as a run blocking unit. They allow the second highest pressure rate in the pass game as an offensive line as well. You have Milton Williams back. It loosens up Barmore. You're getting Harold Landry hopefully back with some rest. Maybe he's got some more juice. And when you put Herbert in that position, like if they're playing from behind, if they have to pass to catch up in this game, say they're down 10 points, if they're in third and long, third and six, third and 10, you can take advantage of that offensive line at that point if they're playing from behind. So the other thing with Herbert, though, and this is a weakness of their defensive front, regardless of health, is I think there has to be an element of contain to that. He's an
He has
underrated
legs.
mobile quarterback. In fact, he leads the NFL in touchdowns thrown outside of the pocket this year. And I believe he's the second lead, he's second in rushing yards for a quarterback this year. So I mean, he can hurt you with his legs. So you have to be cognizant of that. It can't be like a hair on fire sort of blitzing him. You got to have an element of contain to it. And I don't really fear, like with this Patriots defense, there's an element of bend but don't break, right? Like I don't fear passing yards against this team as much as I fear rushing yards because that's about staying on schedule, keeping the ball out of Drake May's hands, running the clock down. When the Patriots have given up 200 plus passing yards, it's happened 7 times this season. They're 6-1. The one is week 1 against the Raiders, which is their only 300-yard passing game they've surrendered. They haven't lost a game where they've given up a ton of passing yards in 17, 18 weeks. And again, because they don't want to get in a track meet with you. If they have to throw it, it means either they're killing you or they're playing catch up and trying to keep pace with you. And I don't think that benefits them. And I don't love their pass catching targets either. I think they're good, but I don't think they're world beaters per se.
They looked like world beaters in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, yeah, and that might be a side effect of the offensive line, and what's happened
True.
to it since.
True.
More opportunity to get open downfield with a better
As a
offensive line.
McConkey fantasy holder, yeah, no.
Yeah, and also,
Not
the
the guy.
inclusion of Keenan Allen sort of hurts McConkey's production as well because they play similar, not the same, but similar roles in that passing game. So
Yeah.
I do think you can take advantage of their offense. And like I said, it starts with bottling up the run. But to your point, the more intriguing matchup really is the strength on strength matchup in this game, which is specifically their passing defense against your passing game.
They have a strong passing defense.
They
We
do have a
have
strong passing
one
game.
of the best downfield passing attacks in the NFL.
Exactly. So this Chargers defense is very zone heavy, very zone heavy. They play a lot of cover 3 and they play a lot of cover 4. Cover 4 is quarters. It's where you have the 4 defensive backs sort of split the defensive backfield into 4 quarters and they play those deep quarters. They will do some match quarters, which is where they play that coverage in zone coverage deep, but underneath they play some man. They don't play man at the same rate as Buffalo and Baltimore. They play much more zone. And this passing offense has really carved up zone. And so I'm interested to see if the Chargers add the wrinkle of mixing in more man, because I really think they're going to have to do it if they want to disrupt this Patriots passing game enough to win the game. They do a lot of 2 high safeties. We've talked all season long about the pros and cons of single high versus 2 high safeties against this offense, because they are looking to limit the deep pass. Sometimes in that quarters coverage, they've been caught because they will, while they don't disguise in the man versus zone sense, like Buffalo did a lot to you, sort of changing their look pre and post snap, they do sort of disguise the aggression with which they play in the defenses that they line up in. So like quarters, essentially, you think they're all dropping back deep. This Chargers team at times will creep and play real tight on coverage, even though they're playing deep zones. And they've been burned a few times, specifically on the outside pass. So I would look for a Kayshon
That's our
Boutte
guy.
shot. Yep, a Kyle Williams shot, because when you're playing in these deep quarters, if you're playing too aggressively, you're leaving the outside corners on an island in a way. And so that could be an opportunity to
That's
take
where
a
Maye
shot.
eats.
Exactly. The other difficulty with the 2 high, the downside for 2 high for them is where we hope the run game translates. That's an
Right. This is
opportunity. Yeah, one less
force
guy
them
in
at
the
them.
box makes you, it allows you to run more effectively.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think if the run game can get going, then we are cooking. We are cooking. If the rushing game doesn't get going, we still have Drake Maye.
We do. And if they're going to play like the 2 high look with some man underneath, then Drake Maye can be loosened up in the run game as well. That's a counter to it in another way. But yeah, they're an effective defense, and there are 2 things they do that I really like in a defense that's going to play this kind of offense, which is, we've talked all year about dropping guys back into coverage. That's the key to really giving this offense fits is effectively pass rushing, effectively stopping the run without overcommitting. The Chargers have the seventh highest sack rate, but they have the third lowest blitz rate. So they're getting to the quarterback at a high rate without overcommitting to the rush. They
Okay,
have
this
the
is definitely a strength.
Yes, definitely a strength. They have the second highest EPA per rush or second best EPA per rush as a run defense, but they have the fourth highest rate of playing with a light box, 6 or less defenders in the box. So they're able to stop the run similarly to how you were earlier in the year without overcommitting to the run. Those are things that are positives in their direction that I would feel good about if I was a Chargers fan. I don't think they do enough as they've existed this regular season to affect the Patriots offense in a way that's going to cause them to lose the game. They're going to have to turn the ball over and make mistakes at a rate we're not used to this Patriots offense doing. To
Right.
your point about Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't had a game like Pittsburgh since Pittsburgh.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it could absolutely be that way if they're going to lose. And I think, they have three really good players in their defensive front. Tui Pelotu. Congrats to me for saying that 90% correct on the first try. Dafe Owe, who they got from Baltimore, the Patriots were interested in, has been an effective rusher, and Khalil Mack is still a good player. And then they have Derwin James as a safety in the back end who can really wreck a game. So they have players to
Solid
watch
guy.
on that side.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I guess that's what it really comes down to, right? Can Maye and the Patriots should win this game, right? If they are the team that they are presenting as, they're 14-3. They've played. This is probably going to be the second toughest opponent that they play this year.
Yeah, it might be the best defense they've played.
Yeah, you're playing them, but you're playing them at home. Your running game is starting to peak at the right time. Most of your receivers are healthy, other than minus Matt Collins. You got Will Campbell back, and Drake Maye is my MVP, league MVP. Let's be real here. They should win this game. Like I don't think I think considering where we despite the fact that we started this season with no expectations, despite the fact that you can say they are playing with house money. Now that we're here, I expect them to win.
I agree with you because exactly as you said, what these two teams have showed to this point this season, the Patriots are the better team.
Exactly.
It's going to take, like we said, wrinkles that we haven't seen from the Chargers, and it's going to take uncharacteristic poor play from the Patriots that we haven't really seen for them to lose. Now, that's all entirely possible. Any given Sunday, especially in the playoffs. Yeah. But they should win this game. This is not so tough a matchup that I wouldn't have them as the favorites. They're the favorites. Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
We are rooting for Pittsburgh and Buffalo to win their respective games.
Yeah, hell yeah. Go Pittsburgh, go Buffalo this week and this week only.
But if the Steelers lose,
then I think I want Jacksonville.
Then I want the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I don't want Houston. I really don't want Houston. I haven't done enough work on their offense, but their defense, that defense is one, and we'll get to it if we have an episode on them next week. That one scares me more than this Chargers defense does. So
fingers crossed we have an episode next week.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll have one either way.
We'll have an episode.
Yeah.
There'll be no more breaks to pump, potentially.
No, the car will be potentially dead.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's one game. Means everything and nothing. Just kidding. It means everything.
I can't wait, man.
It's going to be, I'm so excited.
I can't wait to see Drake Maye with this opportunity.
Listen, maybe they'll give, fine. There's a chance they give Stafford his fucking participation trophy, but he's the MVP of the league, at 23 years old, right? Even if he loses this game, he's, the future is still bright, but I would very, very much like for him to win this fucking game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pardon my French.
Yeah, there's never been a bigger opportunity in his football life than he'll have on Sunday night. And there's no two ways around that fact. So
yeah.
The opportunity at his disposal is huge. And so, I've had faith in him this entire time. I have faith in him right now. I haven't really been given a reason not to. And maybe the faith will be shaken if this game doesn't go well for him. The ceiling, to my earlier point, I don't think changes, but the faith might change a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean, here's an opportunity. I know you wanted to talk about his case for the MVP. The floor is yours. I mean, you feel strongly about this. Yeah,
I do feel strongly about this. Let's first take MVP at face value. Most valuable player. Not who threw the most 1-yard touchdowns this season.
No, not most outstanding player, most valuable player.
Most valuable player. And it's who has done more with less than Drake Maye? No one. And you know what? I can go into all the advanced stats and how Drake May is number one on all of them and efficiency, how he doesn't have the volume stats of Stafford. But if you look at every single advanced statistic that we have come up with over the last 10, 15 years to quantify quarterback performance beyond just like, they throw a touchdown, like, right? Like,
Good
yeah,
Dan Orlovsky.
Drake May is number one on all of those metrics. Like, the most efficient passer in the league this year by far. So even if we were talking about most outstanding player, I would still give it to Drake May. But let's do a very simple mental exercise. If you put Matthew Stafford on the New England Patriots and you put Drake May on the Rams, would they still have the same records that they did this year?
No. The
No,
Patriots would be worse off, and the Rams would be at least as good as they are now.
if not better, right? Like, and that's it, right? Who's the most valuable player to their team? Who's the most valuable player in this league? It's a quarterback award for a reason because it's the most important position on the team. And what we've seen this year is what a elite, top, heavenly quarterback can do to his, to raise what was a 4-13 team last year with playing with a brand new offensive coordinator, right? Like, and people, I mean, that's one of the arguments people make. They're like, oh, well, Stafford has all this time. Who gives a shit? Like, that's not the point. But still, point is, Drake May did more with less. He was more valuable to his team. I can't think of a more valuable player this year than Drake May. Again, put Stafford on this team. This team isn't the same. You put May on the Rams, you give him Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. People are like, well, Drake May had Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, a good rushing game. Okay, would you take Stephon Diggs over Puka Nacua? Would you take Stephon Diggs over Devontae Adams?
No.
No.
No, probably not.
No, probably not, right? Like, all of a sudden, we're just the entire Patriots receiving core is a tier below what Stafford has had in Los Angeles. That's it. Like,
Offensive line is better too, I would say,
offensive line is better.
or at least has more talent.
Yeah.
Similar thought experiment too is just like what would happen to each team if you replace them with a replacement level backup. I think the Patriots would be much worse off than the Rams would be if you, I don't know, insert Jacoby Brissett on both teams or insert Josh Dobbs on both teams as starting quarterback. I think the Rams would be better off than the Patriots would
Yeah.
be.
They have a top 5 offensive line. They have 2 of the best receivers in the league. What are we even talking about here? Like, this is I think you can put you could put any top 10 quarterback in this league on the Rams offense and get the exact same result. You cannot say the same thing about the Patriots.
I think it's fair. And I agree with you. I mean, for me, I'll explain my perspective, and it's a sort of wet blanket perspective. I know fans love this stuff and they eat it up. I genuinely don't care if he wins MVP. And listen, I'm going to out myself here. I'm a Yankees fan. Nobody cares why. There's logic behind it. There's a history behind it. No one gives a shit why, okay? But listen, Aaron Judge has won the American League MVP, Boston everything except for baseball. But Aaron Judge has won the American League MVP like 3 of the last 4 years. And the Yankees seasons have almost always ended in like some sort of massive to mild heartbreak. And so what am I left with at the end of all of those seasons where he's won the MVP? Nothing. I'm left with nothing. To me, as a sports fan, I'm in the business of watching and rooting for my team to win championships. And so if I'm the championship, the MVP, the individual accolades along the way, the records broken, that's the icing on the cake. If I'm in the business if I'm a bakery, I'm in the business of baking cakes. If all I do is serve cans of icing, I'm not going to be in business very long. If all my team does is accumulate individual awards, I'm going to be pretty fucking miserable if I'm in the business of watching them win championships.
You'll be a Ravens fan.
That would be
Am I wrong?
Ravens fan. Or
that's
a Bills
being a
fan.
Ravens fan.
Yeah,
and they just fired their head coach for that reason.
Yeah, I don't. So to me, it's like whatever. If it happens, it happens. I get it's a point of pride. I get we live in a tribalistic online society, and so we have to be able to go, we got the MVP. F you, like your guy. It is
mostly for that.
Yeah, that's what
it is. But it's also, I want it for him. I want it for my boy Drake. I'm a ride or die for Drake May.
Fair enough. And listen, I agree with you.
Also, objectively, I'm right.
I think you are objectively right. I think he is the MVP. I think it boils down to like, you can quantify it however you want, but to qualify it, valuable. Who's most valuable to their team out of everyone in the league? It's Drake May this year. I don't think it's that hard.
It's not even a question.
It's just not the reality of these awards, unfortunately, these subjective awards that ultimately mean nothing to The outcome. They don't mean nothing. That's not true. They mean something to legacy and all of that. And I don't want to hear about another point to add to your case. I don't want to hear about strength of schedule. Kurt Warner didn't stop Kurt Warner from winning the MVP in 1999. The greatest show on turf Rams had a weaker schedule than the Patriots.
Well, also the strength of defenses is very similar.
Yeah,
Like
people want to do full strength of schedule so we can count the fucking Titans offense and, the Jets offense.
The 49ers have a dog shit passing defense, but they're a good team. But you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to pass on them. Drake Maye play. I mean, again, we've been talking about this all year as we've been slowly believing it more and more. But the big test for the Falcons, the Browns, right? Like good passing defense, good defenses.
Yeah, even the Bucks for stretches this year
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I guess and part of the reason, I mean, and like it's part also like the strength of schedule is the reason he doesn't have the volume stats because we pull him because he dominates these terrible teams so thoroughly that he doesn't play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I think this Patriots team also, despite the incredible statistics he's put up, really wants to run the ball. This team wants to run the ball. They want to run the ball in the red zone too, which I know people have harped on, the Stafford short yardage touchdowns. I get it as an argument about opportunity. I don't get it as an argument about the value of the touchdowns. Some people want to say, well, his touchdowns are all 1 yard. Well, okay, well, I might argue those are harder touchdowns to throw than some of the other ones that Drake Maye does. But there is sort of, I think, this desire from the Patriots really to run first. And the Rams historically with McVay have done a lot of that, but I think that they serviced Matthew Stafford with play calling this year in order to have those sort of raw statistical output that is buoying his case.
He was still in the game in a blowout week 18 just so he can get a few more touchdowns. Like it's like what are we talking about here? Listen, this isn't to say Matthew Stafford
Yes.
is fantastic.
Yep. Agreed. Drake Maye was better.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
we should get a vote. It's part of the media ecosystem.
Agreed. We're one of the preeminent Patriots media organizations here.
Easily a top 100 Patriots podcast.
Yeah. Top 1,000 for sure.
Well, okay. Yeah, probably more accurate. All right. Speaking of other meaningless developments in the NFL. Wow, a lot of head coaches got fired, huh?
Yeah, 'tis the season.
This is the season.
Luckily
not Aaron Glenn.
Luckily not Aaron Glenn, which I guess is another takeaway from that Jets game is like it appeared pretty clear like they were gonna continue on into next year with him, and that was like year 0 or whatever, the hard reset year. They made those trades. But there was a moment there where that loss to the Patriots was a Gerard Mayo at the end of the season-esque loss, that sort of Chargers last year loss. Where
it was sad place to be. I
yeah,
bought this at the Jets game.
At the Jets game. So like that's the kind of loss that makes you honestly reconsider, is this even tenable for a second year? And I don't know. I'm not in that market. I don't listen to, Pump the Brakes, a Jets podcast. I don't know what they're talking about over there, and so maybe he deserves to stick around, maybe he doesn't, but that was
He's
bad,
a defensive-minded head coach who put out, I don't know, I think the coaching job was not, like, you could tell they quit on, like,
first defense in NFL history to not have an interception.
Well, excuse me, 1933, before the invention of the forward pass.
When they were still killing each other, running in, they're wearing leather helmets.
Pre-World War II. pre the invention of the jet engine.
Yeah, yikes. That puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, so luckily he didn't get fired. But yeah, a lot of bad jobs, a couple of good ones, but a lot of bad ones. I mean, the Titans, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Browns, like those are not great jobs. And the thing that stands out to me is like you see these shit organizations, and I'm going to say specifically the Titans and the Cardinals here. They're dog shit organizations right now. And they're interviewing guys like Matt Nagy, who failed in Chicago, went back to Kansas City, and since he's been in Kansas City, their offense has been precipitously worse statistically. I don't know if that's his fault, but that's a bad correlation in my opinion. Jason Garrett. The Titans are interviewing Jason Garrett.
Are they really?
Yeah, Mike McCarthy. Wow. What are we fucking doing? Like,
yeah, but nobody wants to, I think it's no good candidate wants to interview for the Titans position because the ownership is just The ownership that got rid of Rabel for no reason.
So go in the other direction is my point. Go take a chance on a young guy. What do you have to
Yeah.
lose? Go get the coordinator, the
Yeah,
first year coordinator from the Jags, Udinsky, or like the Cardinals are actually going to interview Thomas Brown, the Patriots passing game coordinator, who's had interim head coaching experience in Carolina and Chicago. That's the kind of guy you should go interview, not fucking Jason Garrett. I mean, come on. This is the cowardice and the idiocy of these owners. You're only imaginative enough to get yourself out of the basement of the league, but you're not bold enough to do anything that might propel you forward. It's just, if I were a fan of the Titans and I saw Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, and Jason Garrett coming into it, oh my God, man, brutal,
that's right. I guess because
brutal.
they hired the coordinator last year, and now they're like, that former head coach, or I guess Vrabel wasn't a former head coach when they hired him. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck the Titans are doing. I'm just glad they fired Mike Vrabel.
You, me, all of New England, Drake May, there's a lot of us who are
Our
happy.
future children are happy about
Yes,
this.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's been my takeaway.
I mean, listen, our president wants John Harbaugh to be hired. The owner's just listening.
Listen, trust me when I have the screenshot of that Truth Social post calling the Harbaugh's winners saved for Sunday night, just in case they're not on that night. I can't wait for that. Two birds, one stone there.
You should print that on a shirt and wear it to the game.
Yeah, well, the next round, I guess, if they win it. Yeah, so the interesting, always interesting with the coaching hires.
Do you
We
think the
haven't heard
Ravens isn't?
McDaniels' name, so that's good.
I've
We
heard it
won't
was
this year.
associated with the Ravens, but not through any reliable source. I just
Yeah,
think he's still getting paid 10 mil a year by the Raiders. He's chilling.
yep, agreed.
Is the I think the two most appeal three. I mean,
The
I
best
think the
job's the
other
Baltimore
appealing
job.
position. Right, it has to be.
Yeah, it's the
I mean,
Baltimore job.
They have an MVP quarterback. They
Yep, when he's
have
healthy, I mean,
solid roster. Yeah,
people want to crush him, and you can crush him situationally for how he's played some of these playoff games. You can give him a hard time for his availability for some of these sort of fringe injuries. Could be a question of toughness. I'll leave that to others to do. I don't think, he might have been the problem in terms of their record, but like when he's healthy and when he plays, it's pretty fucking good. Like, he was better statistically than Josh Allen last year, didn't win the MVP. He's a two-time
yeah.
MVP winner. And in that game against Pittsburgh, he was really good. He was not the reason why they lost.
No, exactly. He was not the reason they lost. There was coaching decisions. There was coaching decisions why they fired their coach. I think John Harbaugh is waiting. I've heard John Harbaugh is waiting a week to start his interviews because I think he wants to see whether or not that Steelers job becomes available and whether or not that Bills job could become available.
So I maintain the funniest possible. I think I said this to you when
Stealing
he
goes to the
would be that Tomlin and Harbaugh end up flipping
swap.
teams.
Wow, that'd be crazy. That'd
Yeah.
be crazy.
I thought Buffalo too, and then again, I was listening to Burt Breer earlier today, and he said, at least in his opinion, he would be surprised if John Harbaugh sort of usurped a newly opened Sean McDermott spot because they are good friends. They spent 7 years together in Philadelphia under Andy Reid with the Eagles. And so he at least doesn't think that John Harbaugh would be interested in jumping in Sean McDermott's grave.
I think if the Buffalo position becomes available, it goes to Stefanski.
It could. I think that's a great call. I think that would be a good candidate. I think they would probably lean more offense if they were to move on from McDermott, who's more of a defense guy. What Baltimore does, I think, is going to be really interesting. I've heard Flores' name thrown out there, which, again, I still maintain some skepticism about Flores and that league hiring him just because how those owners are and the vindictiveness that comes with an open case against, 4 teams are defendants in his lawsuit against the NFL.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, no one to me
He really got
screams
did dirty.
Baltimore than Brian Flores, though. Like, he feels personality-wise, the aggressiveness with he coaches on the defensive side feels very Baltimore
He
to
also,
me.
I don't know if he's the right guy to deal with like a somewhat volatile quarterback.
Yeah, is he going to call
let's
Lamar
not-
Jackson a pussy in week 9? Like, and then
Well, and if he does, there's no agent to smooth it over, right? Lamar Jackson's his own agent.
Yeah,
I think this is part of the reason I don't know if Harbaugh wanted to go back because I think he knows that next year, like Lamar might be gone in 2 years.
It's quite possible. I mean, he's only got 2 years left on this contract, so something's going to have to give at some point, whether that's a restructure extension or a trade. I don't know. I don't think he'll hit free agency, but he could get moved. I mean, they've thrown out Burt Breer again threw out. Does he get traded to Miami? Maybe the Harbaugh relationship isn't bad. I don't know. It felt like it was a Harbaugh offense rift there at the end, so I'd be surprised if that happened.
Could go to the Jets.
That would not be great. Certainly not ideal.
No,
But
Browns.
ironically, like the guy sitting behind you would be really fun to watch with that Baltimore offense. I mean, he might be the smartest run game. Uh, that's Mike McDaniel. Might be the smartest run game planner in the league. He's just sort of been unfortunately saddled with what comes with Tua. Could you imagine him with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson at his disposal in the run game would be really interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna make a really good OC for some sort of defensively minded head
I know
coach.
the Lions have already reached out to him because
That
obviously they
makes
had
sense.
major issues replacing Ben Johnson, so they need
That's a
someone
good position.
high caliber.
Good. The
Falcons
Falcons. I Falcons.
caught me by surprise a little bit. I mean, Raheem Morris in 2 years, he won 8 games both years. Players like him.
Yeah.
You spent the number 8 overall pick on one quarterback and $100 million on another quarterback in the same offseason, and neither of them can really play. So, like,
Not
kind of a
really.
tough hand to be dealt from personnel to start your tenure. I thought it was premature to fire him, but whatever.
But on the other hand, having like, until the Dolphins fired McDaniel, they were the only team that had openings for both GM and coach, which makes it a much more appealing destination.
Sure, and I understand them moving on from the GM. That felt like
Oh, for
was
sure.
time. They'd made some poor decisions there.
Yeah.
I guess another team that would be fun to watch a Mike McDaniel offense with would be with Bijan. I think
Yeah.
there would be some
Bijan would be
some cool shit he could
beastly.
do there.
Yeah, with Jake London too.
Yeah.
Oof.
Regular season recap. Who are your 3 up players, your 3 down players on the roster for the year? You cannot use Drake May.
Ooh. Okay. 3 up, 3 down. Can't be Drake May.
We'll start
All
with
right.
up.
So
Let's go ups first.
I mean, up Milton Williams, easily the
Milton
second
Williams,
best player behind Drake May.
he's in my 3 up as well. I have him like if I were to rank it, I would have him third, and the problem only is because of time played, like the time missed, I
Yeah.
should say.
Yeah.
And
True.
and that third spot for me, there were two. There was another player, Kayshon Boutte, I had in consideration for third as well, but similarly, missed time sort of stemmed the production a little bit.
I
But
just
to your
couldn't. I
point,
can't put him over Diggs.
yeah, well, yeah. So I guess I'll go. My number one is Diggs. I think when we got Diggs, he, like May, outperformed my expectations. I thought
Wildly.
yeah, you're getting this guy to be a safety blanket. If you get 65 catches and 750 yards, I said to one of my friends before the season, I'm happy with it because you haven't had a 750-yard receiver since like 2021 or 2022. He's over 1,000 yards. He's at 85 catches on the year. That's way beyond what I thought he was going to do. He's obviously been, it seems, a leader in the locker room and on the sideline, at least in the facility. And he's become that safety blanket for a young quarterback on big plays, third downs. So, I mean, I couldn't be happier on the field with what you've gotten out of Stephon Diggs. He's my number one up.
Yeah.
Who's your
I'm gonna
number
put
two?
my number two is I think gonna be a bit of a surprise.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think Hunter Henry had a all-time season this year. If you look at his EPA per play, he is the second best tight end in the league after Trey McBride.
Wow. I did not
Yeah.
know that. That's an interesting stat. Yeah, I mean
Right.
he's been great for May, similar to Stephon Diggs in that safety blanket sort of aspect. Incredibly reliable, finds a way to, finds a spot in the field, gets open, catches things that are thrown his way. I'm with you.
Yeah. Like he is. I think he's surpassed my expectations that he would be fine, like he was last year. It was fine, but then I like him and yeah. I think he's a big part of the reason we've seen. I mean, he's been so clutch all year, and he's been available all year. He's just been the guy.
Yeah, I think he's been your second best pass catcher this year. He and Diggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
My number two, also kind of a little bit of, no, I don't know if it's a surprise, but not a conventional pick, is Morgan Moses. I don't think Morgan
Ooh.
Moses has been your best lineman every single week, but when we talk about where this offensive line was versus where it is, Lowe struggled, but
True.
Devontae Jacobs was really bad at right tackle last year. And so for you to bring in Morgan Moses to pair with a rookie on the left side really solidified giving you professional level right tackle play. I think he's a locker room leader. You brought him in for that. He served that purpose. By all accounts, he's created a real unit out of that offensive line room, bringing them together off the field as well. And I really appreciate his toughness. That Baltimore game to
Yeah,
me
he came
really stood
back.
out. That he came back in there. This is a guy who he doesn't need to do this anymore at his stage of his career. And so for him to fight through injury and pain to finish a big game and be a key part of a comeback like that, an ultimate professional, exactly what you needed out of that signing, along with like it's another home run like Diggs in free agency. I'm a Moses fan, so
Nice. Okay, that's our yeah. Those are the
third,
three.
who's your three? Is
Is
Diggs?
Milton Williams, Henry, and I guess Milton. I guess we had high expectations for Milton Williams.
Well, it doesn't have to necessarily be, it can be your three up doesn't have to be over like performed over expectations. It could just be who you're most happy with, like
Yeah, I think probably if I had to put in one more.
I mean, you have my three. Can I throw one that almost made my third your way? Marcus
Yeah, please.
Jones. Marcus
Ooh,
Jones.
yeah, that's a
I
good
think
one.
he's really found his place in the sort of base defense by being that nickel corner. And he's an all-world punt returner as well. So I think he's had a great season. I know I went with the Williams booty sort of hedge at three, but Marcus Jones would probably be the next guy up after that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Makes sense. All right, three down.
I'll start, and I'll give you my one and two because they play the same position, and that's Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez. And I'm most disappointed in them because I think when we looked at this team in the preseason, many saw that the defense and thought this is what's going to carry them. This is going to be an elite defensive unit. And the reason people thought that, I think, is because of the strength in the back end. It ended up being some of the strength in the front end that was their best in this defense. But I think in August, we were thinking, wow, Carlton Davis, Christian Gonzalez, these are guys who can man up if you need them to. You've got depth at safety because at that point you had Duggar, you had Peppers, along with Woodson, along with Hawkins. Obviously, the safeties were purged before and during the season, but the struggles of Gonzalez to play this sort of off coverage, to be, in a mostly zone scheme. I don't think he took that next step in his progression as a corner. And then Davis,
He didn't play like an all pro, and he wants to be paid like an all pro.
yeah. And Davis, there's a lot of up and down. It's the one terrible Davis penalty a game. It's a couple bad passes defensed per game. And then you'll get the opposite end of the spectrum too. You'll get a couple of great defensed passes a game, but it's too up and down. It's not consistent enough. So those are my first two down would be those two corners.
All right, I'm gonna start with like an obvious one. I think Christian Barmore did not play to expectations. I just like as you said, you saw it when Milton Williams went down, and Christian Barmore just could not hang. He just was not. He's not worth the money that we're paying him. And so I'm interested to see whether or not they take the out that's coming up this offseason in his contract.
Yeah, he was my third down. And, it's nuanced. I think, it's tough that he didn't get to play with Milton Williams for the 5, 6 weeks or whatever it was, because like I said before, I think the design was they are a great pairing together schematically. Like their relative strengths are really good. But to your point, he's a top 15 defensive tackle in terms of guaranteed money that he makes. And I don't think he played like one at all when Milton Williams was out. He gets double teamed out of the passing game, as I said before. He's not the most effective against the run. He's been better, obviously, with Williams, and I'll leave it open that this postseason he ends on a high note. But when you combine that, I'm not going to I don't want to get into the legal situation, but when you combine that, he had a police interaction about a year ago, and then you have this off-field situation this year, and then you have a game where he's benched for part of the first quarter for some discipline related issue. You have the outburst about Armand Membu on the field 2 weeks ago against the Jets, and you combine it with this up and down play. It's a player that feels like a really big headache, and I don't know, to your point, if it's worth it long term to continue to put up with it versus finding something in the draft that you can pair with Milton Williams.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, my second down. Mike Onwenu. Let's keep it on the interior. He was supposed to listen. Last year he played as a tackle. We figured he'd playing out of position. We'll put him back at guard. He's gonna play like the top paid guard that he is.
Yeah.
Top 20 win rate on
He's
pass
been
blocking.
He's been meh.
Then meh. I was expecting
Not paid to be
more.
meh.
Not paid to be meh. Exactly. He's paid to be a top 10 guy, and he's a top 20. I guess it's better than top 34, but like, come on, I wanted more from Mike Onwenu.
No doubt. He's not a player who's killed them, but he has been a disappointment. I think, since signing that extension, he's not lived up to it. It's another player that in the long run, it'll be interesting to see the approach they take with him, how long he's here for. It's evened out a little bit, just as I think the offensive line has evened out over the course of the season. But again, it gets back to like take the
You
last month
can't
for
be
what it's
you
worth.
can't be worse you can't be worse than Morgan Moses and not expect to be in the down list. Like, come on. Morgan Moses was top 7 in run block win rate. Like,
Yeah.
he fucking showed up.
Yeah,
And
it's not good enough from Mike Onwenu regardless.
no.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's close to being on my down list as well. And then we need one more from you,
Chason.
Jason.
I guess the expectations weren't that high, but he did not meet my low expectations.
Yeah, see, so Chasen's an interesting one, and it's gonna
I
be
could throw
interesting.
Landry in there too.
So yeah, they're both very interesting. I think they're worth discussing because and it's gonna sound surprising coming to the way I've ranted about Chasen in the running game. I almost had him in my 3 up because it's the value portion of the argument,
Okay.
right? It's like this is a guy who came in as a $3 million veteran flyer who wasn't necessarily going to be the starter in the summer, worked his way
Also a
into a
good point.
starter role. Yeah, and like got you what, like 6.5 sacks and timely ones that you needed. And so like to get at least that level of pass rush production and timely pass rush production out of a $3 million sort of flyer veteran, that is the plus. The minus is obviously he's an absolute liability in the run game. And so I think he's a reasonable selection for either side of this list, depending on how you look at him, which is
That's fun.
ultimately why I left him off of both. But I do think you can make a real argument up and down. And I also think Landry is similar, but closer to the downside.
Yeah.
Uh,
With that higher expectations for him.
in the for especially the price tag. I mean, so
Yeah.
I think you got 8.5 sacks out of him. I don't remember when those were, frankly. It feels
September.
so long ago. Yeah, it feels so long ago, and so he hasn't given you anything in a long time. He's not very good at setting the edge either, like Chasen. And he's a guy who, like, next year comes with a real price tag on the cap. Like, he's got a real number. I think it's in like 16 or $17 million. So you kind of need him to give you something next year too. And I'm very skeptical about that. So I'm with you. He could make the down list.
I mean, we'll give him that he has been injured.
Yeah, he has been injured again, but there's real money with this guy. Like, you brought him in
Yeah.
to make a difference.
Right.
He's gonna have to do something here this week in the next hopefully couple weeks
I'm gonna
to
toss
sort of
someone else
change
on
that.
my down list. I had higher hopes for Jared Wilson. I think he's consistently been the weakest part of this offensive line,
He
more
has
so
been the
than on
weakest
Wayno.
part of he has been the weak point of the offensive line. I agree with you. He was another one I considered. I think when you can if you're gonna incorporate the expectation,
Good
that's
day
where
two pick.
yeah, but he's playing out of position too, like on the fly.
Right.
He's a center who's playing guard. So like
Yeah.
part of why I think you're totally reasonable adding him to your 3 down list, and I think it's close. The only reason I left him off, and he might have been the fourth guy for me, was the expectation sort of element of it's like Craig Woodson. Like Craig Woodson got beat a fuck ton, but like he's also sort of just thrown out there, and like
Right.
there's a similar element to that with Jared Wilson, but it does have to be better. Like it was just on pure sort of output, it wasn't very good a lot of the time. So I agree he's another one who definitely could merit a 3 down list.
I want to end on a positive note, and I'll give a player that didn't make it on my 3 up list, but
Mhm,
came close. Travion
mhm.
Henderson.
Yeah, I mean the home
Really
run thing is real, man.
real, man.
Yeah, it's
Awesome. And
I
I mean, even without the home runs, he's been like an effective rusher in the second half of the year.
yeah, the
Well,
vision's coming.
the
It's
last quarter of the year. Last
yeah,
quarter.
the vision's coming along. I think he's going to get better with that. I don't think he's going to continue to run into blockers and stuff, or at least I hope. But
He statistically had a similar season to Jameer Gibbs' first year.
interesting.
If
Well,
we can get
we'd love for that
we'd
to
love for that.
continue on the Gibbs trend. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a tough start, and I think he really started to hit his stride there in the back half of the season. And I think you can hopefully rely on him. I feel good about him going into the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel good about this team going into the playoffs, honestly. It's just like I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right. Fuck the Jets.
Fuck the
Go
Jets.
Pats.
Go Pats. Fuck the Chargers.
Hey. Go back to San Diego.
Yeah.
Bye everyone.
Stay classy, San Diego.